I could, I would read every minute of every day. However, that's not practical, so I tend to squeeze my reading in bed late at night. I have 3 books by my bedside at the moment. One, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. The story's about Eddie, who's a guy who runs an amusement arcade, or works in an amusement arcade, and has done all his life. We meet him when he's 83. He's very lonely, and he's questioning whether his life has ever had any meaning. The day the book starts is his 83rd birthday, and he dies in a terrible accident trying to save a little girl who's going to be hurt in one of the rides. He then goes to heaven, but heaven isn't the sort of lush paradise that one would expect. In fact, in heaven, he meets 5 people who profoundly affected his life and explain the meaning of his earthly life to him. And during these conversations with these 5 people, each of which are astounding stories in their own rights, he finds if his life truly has been meaningless or meaningful. After a very positive book, let me turn to A Handful of Dust by Evelyn Waugh, which I do keep on my bedside, and I have kept this particular copy there for 20 years. In fact, it's an incredibly bleak book and not what one would expect for bedtime reading. Evelyn Waugh wrote it in 1934, shortly after his wife had left him, and indeed the theme of infidelity comes through the book. We have a hero and heroine, Tony Last, who stands for traditional values, has a huge Gothic house in the country. He's very dull but satisfied. His beautiful, charming wife is indeed vivacious but dissatisfied, and there we have a recipe for disaster. The third book I want to talk about today is Joanne Harris, Gentlemen and Players. I have huge admiration for Joanne because she refuses to be pegged in any particular genre or hole. She can write about the south of France and chocolate and magic, as well as she writes about Northern England boys' grammar school, which is in fact where Gentlemen and Players are set. The hero is an unlikely, fusty old academic, and I absolutely fall in love with this 65-year-old gent who stands staunchly for old-fashioned values in the face of very vicious winds of change. It's a gripping thriller, and as a writer, I often guess the ends of books, and this one had me held right to the last page with twists and turns, and I had no idea what was coming. A true thriller.